I never thought I'd be the guy writing about something like this, but here I am. My name's Dave, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 10 years now. We've got a teenage son, Jake, who's obsessed with basketball. We've always tried to be a happy family, normal, even if things weren't perfect. But lately, I'd started noticing little things. Lisa acting weird, avoiding me, snapping at me over small stuff. I chalked it up to stress, work, the usual. But I could feel something was off, like a storm brewing beneath the surface. It all started a few weekends ago. I was supposed to pick up Jake from a basketball tournament on Saturday morning. Lisa was supposed to be working late, so I figured I'd surprise Jake by showing up early. I got to the school gymnasium around 8 a.m., planning to grab a quick coffee afterward. When I stepped into the gym, I noticed it was strangely quiet, almost deserted. Usually there's chatter, parents cheering, referees yelling out calls, but today, dead silence except for the faint squeak of sneakers and the echo of the ball bouncing. That's when I saw her, Lisa, sitting on the bleachers with some guy I didn't recognize. It was obvious right away that they weren't just talking about the game. They were close, leaning into each other, whispering, touching. I froze, heart pounding. My mind refused to accept what I was seeing. She was kissing him. I couldn't believe it. My wife, my partner, the mother of my kid, cheating on me in a gym where our son was playing just a few hours earlier. I stayed hidden behind a row of lockers, trying to process what I saw. My chest felt tight, my head spinning. How long had this been going on? Was it just this one time, or had it been happening for weeks? I kept staring, trying to find some signs that I missed, some explanation that would make sense. But all I saw was Lisa looking happy, too happy, so caught up in her secret world that she didn't even bother hiding it. I wanted to run over to confront her right then and there, but I couldn't. I was frozen like a statue. Instead, I slipped out quietly, my mind racing. I knew I had to figure out what this was, what it meant, because this wasn't just some innocent mistake. No, she was full-on cheating, and it wasn't with some random guy. It was with the referee. The one who officiated Jake's games every weekend, the guy who should have been impartial, fair, and professional. Instead, he was cheating too, apparently. That made it worse, more betrayed. It wasn't just Lisa messing around. It was someone who was supposed to be a figure of integrity, and he was just as rotten. I spent the rest of that day trying to keep my cool, but inside everything was falling apart. I felt sick, angry, humiliated. This wasn't the woman I married. She'd always been bitchy, sharp-tongued, dismissive, a little manipulative, but I never expected her to cheat like this. Now I was faced with a choice: ignore it, confront her immediately, or dig deeper. But I knew one thing for sure. My world was crumbling, and I was left standing in the wreckage, trying to figure out what to do next. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying what I'd seen over and over. The image of Lisa and that referee, caught in their lie, kept stabbing at me. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how she could betray me and Jake like that. I thought about all our conversations, all the moments I thought were real, and I kept questioning everything. Was she ever really faithful? Did I miss the signs? Or was I just too blind to see what she was capable of? By morning, I knew I couldn't just let this go. I had to confront her. I needed answers, truth, even if it hurt like hell. So I waited until she got home from work, trying to keep my cool, but I could feel my fists clenched tight. When she walked in, I didn't even greet her. I just looked her in the eyes and said, "We need to talk." Her face twisted into that usual dismissive sneer, like she thought she could brush things off, hide behind her lies. She looked at me, all fake concern, and said, "What's wrong, Dave? You're acting weird. Did you forget something?" I didn't buy her bullshit. I told her exactly what I saw the gym, her, the referee. Her eyes widened for a second, then she rolled her eyes and scoffed. "Oh, come on. You're imagining things. You're overreacting as usual. It's nothing. Just a misunderstanding." That's when I snapped. I told her I saw them kissing, that I knew she was cheating, and I wanted the honest truth. Her response: she started lying big time. "I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. Maybe it was just a hug, a friendly thing. You're always so paranoid. You're making a mountain out of a molehill." I was furious. How can someone lie so easily, so blatantly? I could see the lie in her eyes, but she kept pushing her narrative like she was convincing herself as well. She said I was accusing her without proof, that I was just jealous because I was working late or stressed from work, but I knew her game. She's always been good at spinning stories, making herself seem innocent, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I felt a strange mixture of anger and heartbreak. I'd trusted her entirely, and now I felt like a fool. How long had she been lying? How many nights had she been sneaking around? I didn't know whether to cry or scream. I just told her I needed some space, that I couldn't just pretend nothing happened. She threw her usual tantrum, calling me paranoid, saying I was ruining everything, that I was overreacting because I didn't want to face the truth. That's when I realized her lies weren't going anywhere. She was digging her heels in, trying to gaslight me. I knew I had to make a decision, confront her further, or start thinking about what I really wanted from all this. But deep down, I'd already made up my mind. I wasn't going to stay silent, not anymore. I had seen enough to know I couldn't trust her, and I wasn't going to be the guy who stays and gets played. I spent the next few days in a fog. Every time I saw Lisa, I felt a mix of disgust and sadness. I couldn't believe this was my life now, that the woman I loved, the mother of my kid, was out there screwing around with a referee from Jake's basketball games. It felt like everything I'd built, everything I believed in, was just a lie. I started weighing my options, whether to confront her again, tell her I was done, or even consider legal action if it came to that. The betrayal cut deep, way deeper than I ever expected, and I knew things had to change. I just didn't know if I was ready for what that meant. After a few days of sitting on my rage and trying to process what I'd uncovered, I decided I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I needed to confront her again, this time fully prepared to get everything out in the open. I wanted her to face what she'd done, to see how much her lies and betrayal affected me. I also knew I had to protect Jake from the fallout, even if it meant breaking everything apart. So I set up a time to talk when she'd be home alone. I wanted to catch her off guard, not in front of the kid or anyone else. When she finally walked through the door that evening, I was already sitting on the couch, my arms crossed, feeling like a trapped animal. She looked at me, that same bitchy smirk on her face, like she thought she could charm her way out of this mess. "Okay, Dave," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "What's so urgent? You look like you're about to blow a gasket." I didn't bother wasting time. I told her. I knew about her and the referee, about the kiss in the gym, the sneaking around, everything I saw firsthand. Her face twitched for a second, then she started with her bullshit. "You're crazy. You saw what you wanted to see. Maybe I was talking to him about the game. Maybe I was just saying hello. That doesn't mean anything." I cut her off. "No, Lisa, I saw you 2 inches apart, lips locked. You don't get to lie your way out of this. I'm sick of your lies. How long has this been going on? How many other times?" Her eyes narrowed. "You're making a scene for no reason. You're just jealous, like always. Maybe you're the one who's been unfaithful," she spat back, trying to turn it around. "Yeah, right." I couldn't believe her audacity, trying to flip the script like she wasn't the one doing all this behind my back. I told her I wasn't going to listen to her bullshit anymore. I wanted the truth, no more lies, no more excuses. She finally broke down and started crying, but it wasn't because she was sorry. It was because she knew she was caught. She admitted to meeting him a few times at the gym, saying it was just fun and harmless, that it didn't mean anything, that she was just bored, that I was never around, that she needed something more. I felt a deep sickness inside, not just anger, but a crushing disappointment. The woman I'd loved, the woman I thought was my partner, was just a manipulative liar. I asked her if she even loved me. She hesitated, then muttered something about how I never paid enough attention to her anymore, how I was distant and always working. As if that justified cheating. As if I deserved to be betrayed like this because I was busy. I told her I needed time to think, that I couldn't just forgive her overnight. I told her I didn't know if I could come back from this, but I deserved honesty. She kept begging, crying, telling me I was overreacting, that I was ruining our family, that she loved me. But I saw her for what she was, a liar, a cheat, someone who was willing to throw everything away for a quick fuck in the gym. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. That night I slept in the guest room. I couldn't stand to be near her. The betrayal cut so deep I felt like I was losing myself. I kept thinking about Jake, about how much I didn't want him to grow up thinking his mom was some kind of cheat. I knew I had to make a decision. Was I going to let this destroy me, or fight for what was left of the life I thought I had? Inside, I already knew I couldn't stay with her after this. The trust was shattered and I didn't see how it could ever be repaired. Over the next few days, everything felt surreal. I went through the motions of work and parenting, but inside I was just spinning. Every time I looked at Lisa, I saw the lies, the betrayal, the way she tried to gaslight me. I started questioning everything, my judgment, her motives, what we had left. The worst part was knowing that she'd been lying to my face for months, maybe longer. I kept thinking about the weekends I spent working late, her excuses, the way she dismissed my concerns. It all made sense now. She'd been sneaking around, pulling off this affair behind my back with a man she knew was supposed to be impartial, honest, yet he'd been just as rotten. I decided I needed to gather some hard evidence, proof I could show her, proof I could use if I decided to take this further. I started watching her more carefully, keeping my phone closed, trying to catch her in the act. But I also knew, deep down, that I couldn't just let her keep spinning her stories. If I was going to do anything, I had to be strategic. I couldn't just confront her again without solid proof. Otherwise, it'd just be her word against mine and she'd wiggle out of it. One afternoon, I decided to check her phone. I wasn't proud of invading her privacy, but I felt I had no choice. I needed to see if she was still talking to him, if she was hiding anything. I knew she'd be mad, but I also figured she'd probably lie about it, so I had to see for myself. I slipped into her room when she was out, grabbed her phone from her purse and scrolled through her messages. What I found made my stomach turn. She'd been texting him almost daily, flirty messages, secret emojis, plans to meet up again. There were photos of them together at the gym, her in revealing workout clothes, him smiling like a damn fool. I saw conversations where she called him my guy, said she missed him, that she felt alive again when she was with him. It was all there. Everything I suspected, confirmed. How could she be so fucking reckless? I felt my hands shake as I read her words. I'd caught her red-handed and yet she still denied everything. That night I confronted her again. I told her I had proof, screenshots, messages, everything, that her lies were over. She looked genuinely panicked for the first time, trying to deny it, saying she didn't know how that happened, that someone must have hacked her phone. Yeah, sure. That was bullshit. I told her I wasn't stupid. I told her I saw everything, and from now on she had to face the consequences. Her reaction was classic. She started crying, calling me paranoid, accusing me of spying on her, saying I was ruining her life. She said she was sorry, so sorry, said she loved me, and that she'd never cheat again, but I didn't believe her, not anymore. I'd seen her true face, the bitchy, manipulative side that thought she could lie her way out of everything. I knew I was done defending her, done pretending I didn't see the real her. I told her I needed some space and I left her alone that night. I knew this was just the beginning. Things were about to blow up in a way I never expected. I sat in my room, staring at her messages on my phone, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. The woman I married, the woman I loved, she'd been betraying me with the referee from Jake's basketball games. And now everything was on the table. The trust was gone. I was tired, angry, and hurt beyond what I thought was possible. But I also knew I had to decide what my next move was, whether to fight for the marriage or finally cut my losses. The following days were a blur. I was stuck in this kind of limbo, one foot in denial, one foot in reality. Every time I looked at Lisa, I saw her lies, her manipulation, her bitchy attitude that suddenly felt like a mask for something much darker. I'd never thought she was capable of this level of betrayal. It was like discovering she'd been a stranger all along. The hardest part was knowing this wasn't just about her cheating. She'd lied, gaslit, and tried to turn everything around on me. I felt humiliated, angry, and heartbroken all at once. I decided I had to take control of the situation. I couldn't just sit around waiting for her to spin her next lie. So I started preparing myself for what I knew was coming. I reached out to a lawyer just to get some advice about what my options were if I decided to end things. I also talked to a couple of close friends, people I could trust to give me honest opinions without judging me. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became. I couldn't stay with her, not now. Too much damage had been done. I'd never be able to look at her the same way again. Meanwhile, Lisa's behavior only got worse. She started throwing tantrums, accusing me of spying on her, calling me paranoid, saying I was the one who was unfaithful. That really set me off. I told her I had proof, screenshots, messages, everything, and that I wasn't going to be made a fool of anymore. She denied everything, but I could see the guilt in her eyes. She was trying to manipulate her way out of it like she always did. But I wasn't buying her bullshit. One night she came home late, smelling of perfume I didn't recognize, her hair disheveled, trying to act innocent. I looked at her and just lost it. I told her I knew she was still lying, that she was still screwing around with that referee. Her eyes widened and she started yelling, calling me crazy, saying I was ruining everything for nothing. That's when I finally told her I'd had enough. I was done pretending. I told her she either told me the truth or I was leaving her for good. She broke down crying, really sobbing, begging me to forgive her, saying she loved me, saying she'd change. But I'd heard enough. I told her that love, real love, isn't built on lies and betrayal. I said I needed some time to think, that I couldn't do this anymore. I packed a bag and left her alone that night, feeling like I'd stepped into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Honestly, I've never felt so broken, so confused. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how the woman I trusted so completely could turn out to be this manipulative bitch hiding behind her fake smile. I wanted to believe there was still some hope, but deep inside, I knew she'd been lying to me for months. I also knew I had to do what was best for me and Jake, whether that meant fighting for the marriage or walking away. The thing is, once you find out someone you love has been screwing another man behind your back, nothing feels the same anymore. Trust is broken, and it's like trying to put together a shattered mirror. Every piece is jagged and sharp. I didn't have the full picture yet, but I knew I'd have to decide soon. The truth was staring me right in the face, and I couldn't ignore it any longer. In the days that followed, I did what I never thought I'd have to do, started to physically remove her from my life, piece by piece. I hired a lawyer, made arrangements to get a separation, and began the painful process of unpacking everything I thought I knew about my marriage. I kept replaying the images in my head, Lisa with the referee, the lies, the manipulations. It felt like I was waking up from a dream I'd been in for years, only to realize it was all a lie. The woman I'd loved, trusted, and built a life with had been hiding a secret that shattered everything I believed in. I told myself I needed to do this for Jake's sake, too. He deserved to grow up in a home where honesty and trust still mattered, even if that meant tearing everything apart. So I sat him down and told him, truthfully but carefully, about what I saw and what was happening. I didn't want him to grow up thinking his mom was just a saint. I wanted him to see that sometimes people mess up, and that honesty was what mattered most. We cried together, and I promised him that no matter what, I'd always be there for him. As for Lisa, she kept trying to manipulate her way back into my life, calling, texting, begging, saying she loved me and didn't mean for any of this to happen. But I was done. The trust was gone and I couldn't see a way back. I told her I needed space, that I was done with her lies, and that if she truly loved me, she'd respect my decision. I packed up her things, placed them outside the door, and shut that chapter of my life for good. Looking back, I realize how much this whole experience taught me. I learned that sometimes people wear masks so well that you don't see what they're really capable of until it's too late. I learned that honesty, trust, and integrity are everything in a relationship, and once they're broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. Most of all, I learned to listen to my gut, to pay attention to the warning signs, and to never ignore my instincts again. Now I'm focusing on healing, on rebuilding my life in a way that feels real and honest. I still have a lot of anger and sadness, sure, but I also have clarity. I know I won't let someone betray me like that again. And I want to tell anyone reading this, if you're going through something similar, trust yourself. Don't let anyone gaslight you or make you doubt what you see. Love is built on truth, and if someone is hiding something, it's only a matter of time before it all comes out. Be brave enough to face it, because your peace of mind and your worth are worth more than any lie.